Welcome back to another episode of the Player First podcast. In today's episode with Coach Leo and myself, Coach Fernando, we're going to be talking about the importance of self-belief and how to eliminate limiting beliefs, right? We all have beliefs in our mind that limit us, that hold us back. And a lot of times these beliefs, they come from, other places like coaches, teachers, friends, family, or some experiences that we've had that limit our beliefs, right? So we're going to talk about how to overcome those beliefs that we have, how to improve your self-belief to ultimately improve self-confidence, right? Again, our goal here is to help players get to a higher level, but we know that players, to get to a higher level, they need to have extreme self-confidence, right? They need to be very confident in themselves. So before we get on with the episode, Coach Leo, how is everything in the UK? By the way, I'm loving your background. I like the update.
There we go. This is in line with what we're going to be talking about today.
There you go.
Never
That's
doubt
true.
myself. The weather here, Coach Fernando, in the UK, since we last spoke, is getting wetter and wetter.
Oh, great.
You can tell we're going into the winter.
Is it very rainy, very humid out there during the winter?
Yeah, very, very much so. But anyway, it's winter, right? So no excuses. No,
it is what it is, right? Yeah, we just got to deal with it.
That's it. But no, everything's going well. So in terms of the Football Domain Academy, our boys have been back out on the fields since the start of December. Now we have about 1 week and a half left, and then we are wrapping it up for Christmas. The Christmas holidays, which I am very, very excited about.
And you guys go on holiday over there, right? That's how it is. Over here we go on vacation. Over there you guys go on holiday.
Exactly. There you go. Yes. So, well, this year I don't think anyone's going on holiday or vacation.
Yeah. Right. Just at home. Vacation at home. Or holiday at home.
Exactly. So, but no, very excited. It's been going well. Excited to be back out on the fields. Like I said, we've got one week and a half left of training and games, and then it's a 2-week break until the first week of January. Excellent.
That's great news, man. Hopefully everything stays open till then.
Yeah. And how's Tiempo soccer all the way in New York?
We're doing well, man. We're doing well. Getting some more players involved, growing and just getting more players better. That's really our focus, right? Just getting better. So we're continuing to train. Excited to start our 3rd annual winter clinic. Every year we've done a winter clinic where we take kids through a lot of ball mastery, a lot of dribbling, a lot of skill work. So that way they come back in the springtime a little more skilled, a little more confident back on the field.
That's awesome. Exciting.
Yeah,
good. It's good to hear that your program's growing. That's what we to hear and to see as well.
Yes, sir. Always getting better, right? That's it.
And also the more you grow, the more you get kids out of their couches, their sofas, and into sport. So that's our aim, man. Right?
At the end of the day, it's about helping these kids, get better, and each kid has their own, goals, and each family has their own goals for their kids. Some kids, whether it's just to get more active and be healthy mentally, physically. Some kids, they maybe just want to play more competitively. Whatever it is, our goal here, and I know your goal is the same, is just to help kids achieve their goals, right?
Exactly. Awesome.
Good stuff, man. All right, so let's get back to today's little topic that we had going on, right?
Yeah,
so
no more chit chatting.
No more. All right, too much chit chat.
Down to business, Coach.
Yeah, they're like, shut up, guys, just talk. Yeah. So today we wanted to talk about self-belief, right, and the importance of having a self-belief as the foundation to confidence, right? I think without having a good self-belief foundation, you can't grow your confidence, right? You can't have good confidence without having that belief in yourself. So I think it's a good starting place for a lot of young players, because I know personally the players that I've worked with, this is an area they struggle with, right? And a part of that is the conversation that they have with themselves, right? The self-talk that goes on, or the conversation they have in their brain about this stuff, about their belief. So, I mean, I don't know, Coach Leo, what do you think about when we talk about this topic and self-belief?
Yeah.
For
I mean,
players?
here's a question for you. When you were younger, was self-belief an issue with you? Did you have strong self-belief in yourself, or do you think you needed more help?
Yeah, I think I could have had some help with confidence, just in general. You know, I was looking back, I was always a pretty good player, but it was more so just the confidence wise, just mentally, just, you know, knowing that I could go out there and do it. And like you said, believing, right? Having more self-belief in myself every time I got out there. And, you know, I wish I had that sort of that mentor, that guide to instill a little bit more confidence in me.
Yeah.
Because I do feel like that was lacking for sure. Good
Yeah.
question. What about you though?
Yeah, I think I'd definitely say that it differed. Like, it was sometimes my self-belief in myself was really high. Other times I needed a bit of a push. But self-belief for anyone, you know, especially young people,
Yeah. Yeah.
their confidence and self-esteem really dips once they're sort of criticized, or when things don't go the way they wanted it to go. And this can really affect them. So the purpose behind what we want to talk about today is like, how do you improve your self-belief? How do you transform it from limiting your thinking, limiting yourself, to excelling, right? To growing, to being a better player, and not only a better player, but a better person as well. So self-belief is huge. And whatever you want to do in life, if you don't believe you can do it, then, you know, you're going to really struggle, because you can't always rely on your coach or your parent or your teammate or whoever it is, your teacher or a classmate, to give you that confidence, or to say to you, you know, you're a good player. Because sometimes there's moments where you're going to be very alone, right? You're not going to have someone tell you good stuff all the time. But what you have to do is you have to find it within you to believe in yourself, to say to yourself, right, I am a good player. I am a good person. You know, I can be successful. I can be better than this. And it just comes with him.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a great point. And I think, you know, one of the things I tell my players is, you are what you believe you are, right? You are what you believe you are. Your beliefs, they ultimately lead to how you think, right? Whatever are your beliefs and sort of the things that you believe in, that turns into your daily thinking and your daily habits in a way, and that leads to your actions, right? That leads to how you react to things, how you know, if you feel like you're not good at something, or you don't have that self-belief in yourself at something, then you're not really going to go into something and dive in confidently and just do it and just go about it and be aggressive and go forward, right? You're not going to do those things. So it ultimately starts with self-belief, right? And so I tell my players that whatever you think you are, whatever you believe you are, it's true. Okay, whether you think you can or you think you cannot, it's true. All right, it has to start in here with your belief.
That's it. Yeah.
So,
And I'm sure with the players you work with, right, that's probably at some point they've gone through that, right? That's probably one.
I think everyone does.
Yeah.
I think every player has gone through that, and every person really, in one way or another.
100%. So yeah. So any kid watching, any young player watching this, right, know that you're not alone. Okay. Because sometimes that's the thing, right? Sometimes we think to ourselves, oh, we compare ourselves and we see, oh, he's a confident person. He's got lots, you know, he's a winner. I can't be like that.
Right. And that's not true. There's, that person has also gone through it too. And they're probably going through things that you don't even know about, right? We're always struggling with different things.
That's it.
And so self-belief is a constant daily thing that you got to work on, right? It's a skill like anything else, like dribbling a soccer ball. It's a skill you need to work on to master over time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I'd also, one last thing to add as well, I'd say it's also a daily reminder to yourself, right? Because like I said at the beginning, it comes from you. You have to remind yourself that you're good, that you're great, that you're brilliant. So, some people might say, oh, that's lying to yourself. But I don't know. If I'm going to lie to myself, but it's going to give me confidence, I'd probably rather do that than wait for someone to say I'm great.
Right.
Because I want to build
exactly.
myself up.
Yeah, there's obviously you don't want to be delusional, right? And whatever. But
there's nothing wrong with delusional.
Right. Coach, you're scaring our audience. You're scaring our audience. No, but you're absolutely right, right? Yes, you don't want to be delusional, but you also want to believe in yourself, believe in most of the players that are probably watching this, or the families that are watching this, they probably already have some level of experience, some level of skill, some level of talent, right? So they've done things before, they've played the game before, right? So there's no reason to not believe that you can do it, and you can do it better, and you can improve, right? There's no reason to not have that self-belief that you are able to do it and able to do it well. Mm-hmm. So, I think that's a very important topic for a lot of young players, like you said, out there. Mm-hmm. And there are also, on the other side of it, there's limiting beliefs. Right? There's beliefs that are things that we believe that sort of hold us back. Yeah. Right. So, I mean, I think Coach said we were talking about an example pre-show about how, I know certain families or players out there may think that they need to be of a certain size, of a certain stature, or they need to be of a certain build to play really well, to be a really good soccer player, a really good football player. But, that's just not true, right? I think there's so many stories, and one I saw recently was of Harry Kane, of Tottenham Hotspur, right? When he was, I forget how old the age was, but I think it was right around 12 years old, 11, 12 years old. The coaches had told him that he was too chubby and he was too slow. And so he had gotten released from his academy or whatever it was. And, that could easily have turned into a limiting belief for Harry Kane, who, by the way, if you don't know who Harry Kane is, he's one of the great goal scorers for England and for Tottenham Hotspur in the Premier League. So if he would have let that coach or those coaches or that belief become something that limits him, that would have been a huge limiting belief for him, right? He would have thought, oh man, I'm too slow. I'm too chubby. I can't be a better player, right? And he could have just let himself think that way and limit himself. Yeah. Right. And I think there's countless examples of that. And one, Coach, if you don't mind sharing the one that you were talking about with players, right?
Yeah. So the other great example was the Barcelona team of Guardiola. Right. So that team was not, shall we say, the tallest or most physical of teams, right? So you've got players like Messi, Xavi, Iniesta. These weren't exactly physical or tall players, but
all those guys are under 5'9", 5'8". Yeah, by the way.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I think anyone looking at that team would think, them playing against a really good team would struggle, just because they've got no aerial advantage. But, you know, if you ever watch that Barcelona, it will probably be the best Barcelona's team in the history of the club.
Yeah.
Like, that team was unbelievable. And what it came down to, it just came down to a mixture of, you know, self-belief in themselves. Yes, they were all very talented, but they also believed in each other. Right?
And they didn't let the size, right, limit them in terms of their playing ability, right? And now, of course, we're talking about professionals here and really great, talented players, but relating that to youth players, you know, you don't want to let something like size or some other limiting belief hold you back like that, right? And that's just one example. I think there's hundreds of examples that can hold you back, because again, what you believe is what's going to be true for you, and it's going to turn to your reality. All right. I always tell players, what you believe becomes your actual reality. All right. It starts with your beliefs, leads to your thoughts, becomes your reality. It becomes the actions that you take and the things that happen in your world. It starts in here. So, you know, I kind of cut your example off. But what are your thoughts on just players being able to eliminate those sort of limiting beliefs that they have and avoid taking those beliefs and limiting themselves?
Yeah. I mean, let me just go back to that example, because I think this actually ties really well with your question. So when Barcelona was so successful, obviously winning, what does winning create, right? It creates self-esteem, it creates self-confidence, it creates like a winning mentality. You always want to win, and it becomes addictive, you know, because you're just constantly winning. Now, what that Barcelona team had really well is that because there was a lot of self-belief in each other, you know, because Messi had a lot of self-belief in himself, Xavi as well, that became contagious to the other team, to the other group of players, right? And when something becomes contagious such as that, you want to be like them, right? You want to be in that environment. So this relates a lot to youth football or youth soccer, okay? Because I've coached many teams and I've seen many teams where there's a lot of toxic players within the group. And toxic can affect everyone. But if you have one or two players that have really high self-belief, really confident, and they encourage everyone else, that creates like a winning team, right? It creates a really good environment to be in. And that player that a lot of people might think was average, or that thought he was average, just from a simple encouragement from someone, his self-esteem, confidence just goes boom, like it grows.
Yeah.
And even he then starts to believe himself.
Right.
That he's better. You know,
Right.
and if any coaches are watching, this is an important message for your players, the message you send out to your players as well. Okay, because what you say to your players sticks, right? And if you're telling your players, you know, you have to get better or you're not good enough, you know, they're going to develop those limiting beliefs and they're going to start comparing themselves to others.
Yeah.
But as a player watching this, one thing you can do to help your self-belief is just encourage your teammates. Because what you put out, you're going to get back in.
Yeah, that's a good point. I like that. Definitely. I like that last little piece. What you put out is what you get back. That's 100%. And, you know, I think for players out there that are watching that have some belief that, you know, they think, oh, I can't do something, or something that holds them back. Like we were talking about before, know that you're not alone, right? We all have beliefs like that sort of hold us back one way or another. But I think it's important to take time to identify those beliefs, right? Think about what are the beliefs that are holding you back, right? What are the things that you think about, that you have thoughts in your mind that hold you back?
Yeah.
Right? What are those beliefs? And once you can identify those beliefs that you have that actually hold you back, I think that's a really good first step to overcoming those limiting beliefs and to improving your self-belief, improving your confidence. So, one little tip or strategy or step one for me to help players with this would be identify those beliefs that hold you back. What is something you believe that tells you, no, I can't do that, or that tells you, no, I shouldn't do that? What are those beliefs, right? What's something that tells you in your mind, oh, no, I can't?
Yeah.
Because I think once you can identify them, then you could start to eliminate them. But it starts with figuring out what those beliefs are.
Absolutely. I love that. And your limits are because of you. That at the end of the day, you limit yourself. As a human, we don't really have limits, right? You can achieve anything you want. But the person that is stopping you doing that, usually it's yourself.
Yeah, not usually. I think always.
yeah, always. There are cases of others, but usually it starts with yourself. So you got to find, and this is something we're going to talk about in a bit, is find that reason why you're limiting yourself.
Yeah, exactly right. So the next thing would be, like you just said, Coach Leo, find the reason where did that belief come from?
Yeah.
Right? That belief that you have, where is it that it came from? Was it from a coach? Was it from a teacher? Was it from a past experience that you had that you limited yourself, you limited your believing? Where does that limiting belief come from, right? So you now know, all right, this belief holds me back. This prevents me from doing something. But where does this belief come from?
Yeah.
Where does this thing, where did I get this idea from? Because usually, most times, almost every time, these beliefs, you weren't born with these limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
You gain them from society, right? Whether that be, like I said, the environment you're in, whether that means your coaches or your teachers, or even your family members and your friends, right? Sometimes they have limiting beliefs that they pass it on to you. Or sometimes it's just social media nowadays, right? Or, TV shows or whatever, or you get these ideas from the outside world. Try to figure out where it comes from, because usually it didn't start inside of your brain. It came from elsewhere.
Yeah.
So I think step two there is identifying, where does this belief come from? Where did I get this idea?
Yeah. Now, let's go a bit deeper here, Fernando. What were your limiting beliefs when you were younger?
Oh, man, that's tough.
If you had to pick one thing that stopped you?
Wow, you're putting me on the spot here. I'd have to think about that. I don't know. Let me think about it. Do you have one? I mean, I get overall what I would say is I'm more so used to just think in a fixed way. Right? I used to just think all right, it's either you can do it or you can't do it. And that's just it. I never really used to think in a way that led me to believe that I can get better at something I'm not currently good at. It was just oh, I'm not good at it, and that's it.
Yeah.
Right. And not necessarily soccer wise, but just in general. Just in general. I don't know where that came from or how that came to me, but I think it was just it just was something that was implanted in me of you can do it or you can't do it, and that's it.
Yeah.
And so I always sort of had that kind of thinking as I was growing up that limited me from, trying different things or trying to get better at certain things that maybe I wanted to, but I just thought, you know what, I'm just not good at it. So that kind of always, I felt that limited me a little bit.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. What about you? Do you have any?
I've got two examples. I've got one on the field and I've got one off the field. The off the field one, I'd say it probably still does to some in some certain situations.
Okay.
On the field, I was always a very chubby kid.
Yeah.
So
you still are. What are you talking about?
I'm a chubby kid, man. I'm a chubby adult. So I used to always view myself as that kid, right? The chubby one and the one that never gets picked first. The one that is always on the bench and just comes on the last couple of minutes. So I always viewed myself like that. But even though I was a really good player, like technically I was very good, but because just, it was in my genes that I was a bit bigger, I always limited myself thinking, right, I'm never going to go far in the game because I'm not of a certain physique. Right.
Yeah.
Now, luckily enough, I've got quite a good humor and I laugh about myself. Because I know some kids in that situation could get into a serious like depression about themselves, right? They see themselves negative and that can really harm them. For me, it was, I used to laugh it off.
That's good.
And I used to think to myself, right, it's not going to be forever. When I grow, I'm going to stretch myself and I'm going to be really slim, right?
Yeah.
So I was okay, but there was always that limiting belief that, okay, I'm good, but I'm never going to be in the A team.
Right.
Because my coach is always going to view me as like the chubby kid.
Right.
So that was something that really limited. Obviously, once you get older, none of that really matters. Obviously, if you're playing at a certain level, it does matter, because you need to be of a good physique. But in general terms in life, that doesn't really matter. Once you get older, no one cares.
Yeah. Well, in general, I think that's a good point. No one really cares in the end, right? And that's a really good point, because even for young players, like oftentimes you think and you compare yourself to what others are doing because you feel like, it matters to them how you are, how good you are. But really, most of the times they don't care. No one really cares. No one goes to bed at night thinking about how terrible you are at something or how bad you were at whatever. Like they don't think about that. They're thinking about themselves probably, right?
Yeah.
So people, most of the times, they don't even care about what's going on with you anyway, right? Like, I know that sounds kind of weird to say, but in the end, like no one's thinking about your deficiencies. Like no one's going to bed thinking about how bad you are at soccer or whatever. People don't really care about that.
Yeah, 100%. But when you're younger,
right,
that's everything.
Right, exactly. That's the
you
issue.
don't really have any other distractions.
Yeah.
When you get older, you've got work, you've got other responsibilities, there's other things to focus on. When you're younger, that's all you care about, what people think of you.
Right.
So anyway, that was on the field. Off the field, something I really struggled with, and I still do, is thinking outside the box. Right? So I always this probably comes from the school system.
Yeah, I was just going to say that. I think a lot, I struggle with this too.
Being told that this is how you do it and that's it.
Right.
So that starts to hurt you when you get older, because you want to be more. Like everyone deserves to be great. Everyone deserves to be successful. But it comes down to this. And if from a young age you're told, right, this is the way it should be done, and that's the only way it should be done,
Right.
then that you lose that creativity, and you think to yourself, right, if I can't do that this certain way, then that's it. Like I might, yeah, I can't do it, and
Right.
you
Right.
start to use excuses.
Yeah, it's funny. I am totally a believer in that, and I feel the exact same way with the schooling system. Like, I feel like when I was going through it, I was really good at school. I was a really good student. I was always bringing home good grades and all that good stuff. But it's because I figured out how to do it the right way, how the teachers taught. I just did it, right? Like I was just able to
One
process it,
way.
do it that way, do it the right way,
Yeah.
right? But I never was like taught in a way to think, like you said, outside the box or think creatively to a solution, right? It was just like, all right, what's the right way for this problem? Okay, let me just do it that way. And that's it. There was no creativity. There was no thought process as much. It was just knowing the right way of doing things, and that's it, right? And that I felt like that has limited me so much in my adult years, right? And I agree with you. I currently, and I'm slowly getting better at it, but I feel like that part of my creativity struggles because of school.
Yeah.
And you know, learning that, oh man, back in the day, like that's how school was. It was just like you do it the right way, and that's it. Like there really wasn't anything.
Yeah. Do
out.
this, and that this will happen.
Right. Right.
Study this, and then that will happen. But
Right.
the reality is that's not how life is. That's not really life.
Right.
Realistic, because when you get into the real world, there's moments where you have to be creative. You have to think on the spot. Now I'm going to relate this to a situation in soccer, in the sense that when you go to a trial or a tryout and the club or the coach don't pick you, you know, that school mentality is like, right, I'm not good enough, so I'm not going to be a soccer player.
Yeah.
Because the teacher has told me I'm not good.
Right.
Which is the coach telling you you're not good. So that when the reality is, right, that club or that team isn't the only option. You've got so many other clubs or teams to try out at.
Right.
But we get so hooked in on that one thing that happens.
Yeah, it's true.
And then we stop for a minute and we don't think that, do you know what? There's like another 50 clubs in my city that I can go and try out for.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny you bring that up, like translating the classroom to the soccer field now. I think that's a big reason why a lot of players love to play. Because in the classroom, things are this way, they're one way, they're the right way, and that's it. On the field, in the pitch, in the game, it's like freedom, right?
Yeah.
There's no, okay, I got to pass the ball here and then run here and then do the, no, there's no right way to play the game in a way, right? There's theories, there's different ways, there's methodologies, sure, whatever. But when you're playing, you're just playing.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's no, oh, I do this way and then this that way. Like you play, and it's freedom. And that's I think a huge reason why I think kids love to play.
Yeah.
And I think as coaches, oftentimes we miss that. We forget that. And so you can structure things a little too much sometimes, and they miss out on that freedom of the game, especially at younger ages.
Yeah, I'm gonna give you an example. So now that you mentioned coaches, last weekend we had a situation with our under 12 boys team. So we won a throw-in, and I always say to my boys, I say, right, when we win the throw-in, we always have to play forward, because if we play back, then we're going to put pressure on the opposition. No, we're going to put pressure on ourselves. Sorry. Because the opposition, we allow them to press us forward. Anyway, so there's a kid called Alex, and what he went against what I told them at halftime. So he whispered to the other boy, he goes, play it back to me. And mind you, when he played back into our half, which goes against what I was teaching, because I'm teaching them, right, play forward. So we're playing away from our own goal. So anyway, Alex drops back into his own half, and one of our players takes the throw in, but throws it backwards instead of throwing it forwards. And I'm there thinking, oh, like what I've just told these boys has just gone out the window. But anyway, this is where creativity comes in, because what happened was he played the ball back. Alex took a touch and he booted it forward, and we almost scored from that play. So as a coach, you know, that happens as well, right? We've got a limited thinking that, right, we shouldn't go that way. We shouldn't go that way. Shouldn't go that way. But these kids just proved to me, like, do you know what? I'm on the field. I can read this better than you. So he played that ball back. He took a touch, played it forward,
right,
and we almost scored.
Right.
But yeah, that moment, even though we didn't score, but it just got me thinking, do you know what? Like, sometimes we turn these kids into robots, but the reality is they're smarter than us.
Yeah. Coach Leo, you're scaring me a little bit, man. You scared me. Yeah. So I love that story, because I mean, you know, thinking back when I first started coaching, I was very much that way too. I was very like robotic with the players. Like, this is how we do this. This is how we do that. This is how we do this, blah, blah, blah. And it's funny, past several years as I've grown as a coach, like I actually encourage the opposite. Like speaking of the throw-in stuff, like usually most times when you're throwing it forward, you're probably throwing it into a bunch of defenders, right?
Exactly.
So I always tell my player, I don't care where you throw it to the person that's open. All right, look forward first. If the forward's not available, let's look lateral. If lateral's not available, then we come backwards. I don't care. Just find the solution, right? Find the solution. And it's funny though, because probably when I was first coaching, right? When I was first coaching, I was telling players the same thing. Yeah. Just throw it down the line, down the line. You'll hear coaches, you'll hear parents say, the time, right? Down the line, throw it down the line. And
you're making me look bad, Coach Fernando.
That has no sense to it. No, but it's funny because we all fall into that trap. Yeah. Like, that's not my point here. I'm not trying to do that. But you used to always tell everybody, throw it down the line, throw it down the line, throw it down the line. Even when I was playing, that's what it was. It was just, there was no creativity. There was no problem solving. It was just the coach told you, throw it down the line. So every player would get the ball and throw it down the line. There could be like 7 million defenders down the line. Right? But the coach would tell you to throw it down the line. And so you're like, okay, this is the right way to do this, right? This is the right way. Even though it's completely wrong. And it doesn't make sense in that situation, right? Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't, but you have to let players find their solutions, right?
Correct. And that belief of throw it down the line probably came as a result from when I was playing.
Yep, same. Yeah, that's how I started, right?
Because my coach said that to me, so I'm now going to say it to my players.
Right.
And it's the same, you know, in your house, right? What your parent teaches you, your mom and dad teaches you, then you're going to teach to your kids.
Yeah. Unless you learn better.
You learn better, of course.
Unless you learn better, which is what happens as coaches. We end up learning better. We end up educating ourselves, whatever. We learn better, and we find that we can't be so robotic with kids, right? This is the game. They have to make decisions, right?
But that goes back to the school system in the sense that teachers are, like, this isn't to criticize teachers or anything, but normally what it is teachers follow a curriculum from a book. Right. Teachers themselves aren't being creative enough.
Right. And it's not always their fault. It's just what they're being told to do sometimes.
Correct. So it's like a trend, right? It trends because then teachers bring that to kids, then coaches we give it to our players. But yeah, So the point we are trying to get to
Right,
is
let's get oh god,
our your limiting belief always has an origin. Okay,
right,
it always stems from something that has happened in the past. That is why you think that way.
right. Or you got it from someone else. Like in this case, we got it from our previous coaches, right? Or or kids out there may get it from their coaches or their teachers, right?
Yeah.
But these limiting beliefs that only force us to think one way, or they limit what we think we can do, or they tell us we can't do something, it usually comes from elsewhere.
Yeah.
And it's important to figure out where that comes from so you can understand and you can learn, you know what, that's not right, that doesn't make sense. I got this belief from so and so, or I got this belief from this experience, but that's not true. That's not the belief I should have, right? Because it's only limiting me. And that helps you break free of those beliefs.
Yeah.
Right. So it's super important identifying, like you said, the origin of that belief.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, we went off on a little bit of a tangent there, but that was good.
Yeah. But it's all related.
Yeah.
Because we're sharing our stories.
Creativity.
Yeah. And then that's what it comes down to. But how can you be creative when you're limiting yourself?
100%.
And it's like ourselves as coaches. How can we can't teach creativity unless we allow it to happen.
Yes. And I am so big. Like this has been my evolution as a coach as well. Like I'm so big on just creativity. Like I want to help players be creative.
Yeah.
Right. And the way I do that is I can't force them to be creative. It just has to happen. Right?
Yeah.
And that's like a weird thing for a coach, because for coaches out there, a lot of coaches like to have control, right? We like to control everything that's going to happen in a session, in a game with our players. And so the best thing to help with creativity, I think number one is just learning to let go of the control and handing it to the players to a certain extent. As a coach, yes, we have to build the boundaries. We have to build, the foundation for the sessions and whatnot. But within there, we need to allow for creativity to happen, for freedom to happen, decisions to be made, right? Because at the end of the day, the game is about the players making decisions.
Yeah,
they're the ones playing. I can't go out there and pass the ball where I want it to go. I can't do that. They have to do that. So super important topic.
Yeah.
But I think that's another one for another day.
Of course.
Yeah, great stuff. So we have talked about a lot, Coach Leo. About,
we have.
We talked about a lot about self-belief, having good self-belief, and that's the foundation of everything, in my opinion, when it comes to your confidence. If you don't have that self-belief, then that's not going to help you become a more confident player, right? It starts with your self-belief, because I believe that the beliefs you have lead to the thoughts that you have. And the thoughts that you have lead to the actions and how you react to things.
Yeah.
So again, it starts with beliefs. And if you have limiting beliefs, Coach Leo, I think we talked about so far 2 steps that you could take, which is number 1, identify beliefs that are holding you back. Right? What are things that you believe that tell you no, or that stop you from doing something?
Yeah.
What are those beliefs? And then figuring out, where does that belief come from? Did that come from something my coach told me? Did that come from something my parents have taught me? Did that come from a teacher? Did that come from an experience? Did that come from social media, something I read on social media? Like, where is this belief coming from?
Yeah.
And then from there, I think it becomes about understanding that belief is not true, because it didn't come from your brain. Now it doesn't come from you. You can say, all right, that belief's not true. I'm going to believe the opposite. And now you could input a new belief in your brain.
Yeah.
Right. And now you could believe the complete opposite thing, right? That doesn't limit you and is going to allow you to go forward and take action.
Correct. And you just have to understand that whatever you say to yourself or whatever you believe in is how you're going to act. You know, if you limit yourself, you're not going to take any action.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't want to give up.
Action it starts with that belief. If you believe you can do something, you're going to take action.
Correct. So if you believe in yourself, then you're going to take more action to do it.
100%. 100%.
Very important topic.
So I'll run through my little example that we talked about before to maybe give some players a concrete idea of how to eliminate a limiting belief that you might have. So like I said before, I used to believe that basically that I could do something or I couldn't do something. That was like my general sort of thinking about stuff. Like, and that's why I kind of, in a bad way, I kind of enjoyed football a lot because I was good at it more naturally, right? But at the same time, it limited me on some other things, maybe, right? Because I just believed, oh, if I'm not good at it now, then that's it. I'm just not good at it. And where that belief came from, to me, I think it was just a little bit of maybe my family, a little bit of my friends that sort of had these sort of beliefs that I would hear, like, it's either you're good or you're not. Like, I used to just hear that. And so that led into my limiting belief, right? And once I realized that as I grew older, I was like, you know what? That's not true. Like, I can get better at whatever it is I want to get better at if I choose to work for it and I choose to do the things that help me get better at it. But that took time for me to understand, to learn that where does that belief come from? Okay, that didn't come from me. I don't actually believe that. And then choosing to believe, you know what, I can get better. I can improve at whatever I want to get better at. And so that's sort of how I eliminated that belief, if you will. So just to help players understand an example. I hope that helps.
It does. It all helps.
There we go. That's all we're trying to do. Help those players out there little by little.
There we go. Good stuff.
And Coach Leo, one last thing I got to pick on you about.
Go on.
One last thing. You touched on a pet peeve of mine as a coach.
Yeah.
You said the word boot it.
Boot it, yeah.
Oh God, Coach Leo, I hate that so much. I hate that so much. I'm like, no, why did he say that? It's just a stupid thing of mine. But you know what it is? It's because oftentimes you'll hear that from the sidelines, whether it's parents or coaches or whatever. And I'm just like, stop telling kids to boot it. Stop it. That's not helping them learn to play. You know, that's just anyone could. I could teach a monkey to boot a ball.
That's it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just hate that, and I don't know. I don't mean to pick on you, but
no, it's true. But listen, that situation, I deserved it, man, because I told them to do something which I thought there was no other way, but
right.
They, they found a way between themselves, and it almost worked out.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it did work out, right? You didn't lose the ball. You didn't, right? You almost scored even.
We almost scored from it. And it was just something very minor, thinking, right, why are we going to throw it into a group of defenders when we can play it back, take a touch, and then play it forward?
Right.
But, there you go.
But see, we're always learning and growing. See, even our players out there, you teach us coaches things as well, as you can tell. And I think that's been the biggest part of my growth, is just allowing players to teach me, similar to a situation like that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's important because sometimes as coaches we have such an ego, and we think that our way is the best way, but really it's the game of the player. It's the player's game.
That's why we're the Player First podcast.
It is. It's 100% right. And we guide them, we can lead them, but they're on the field doing it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. We can lead them, we can guide them, we can teach them, but we're teaching them how to be players for themselves, right? Not to be robots for us.
Yeah. So But yeah, don't boot it.
Please don't boot it. Please. Oh my God. I hate that. Boot it, kick it. I'm just like, no, stop telling them this. This is not the game. This isn't kickball. Stop it.
Yeah.
Good stuff, Coach Leo.
Cool.
All right. Should we wrap up this this lovely episode that we had?
It was pleasure as always, Coach Fernando. Great topic. Learned a lot. And I was happy to share some experiences with our viewers as well.
Yes.
Because even as coaches, as educators, we experience the same as players.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's something that has helped me a lot as well, is identifying with the players, right? Yeah. Identifying what it is they're going through, thinking about it from their perspective, and thinking about what it was like for me when I was their age as well, you know? Keeping that in mind, I think helps coaches a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So,
you know, okay. Good stuff, Coach Fernando.
Oh man, great stuff, Coach Leo. I had fun today. It was a good little chat.
It was.
Oh man.
Same place next week?
Same place, same time. Let's do it. And for those of you that are watching that have gotten this far, we love you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, 100%.
We will
Very
be
committed.
We are starting to make some changes will be coming up in the coming year for the podcast. Some exciting ideas that we have that we're going to be implementing soon. So stay tuned for some updates. But meanwhile, if you guys have any questions or comments, or you'd like to reach out to us directly, we'll have our social media handles on here, and you can reach out to us there.
Yeah, 100%. All right, Coach Fernando.
And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Yes. I was testing you.
Right. Sure.
But yeah, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can get all our upcoming videos.
There we go.
All right. Okay, Coach Fernando, it's been a pleasure. Same time, same place next week.
Yes, sir. Sounds good. I'll see you then.